I wasn't going to publish the video that you're about to see. It starts out grumpy and cynical and ends on a real sad note. But I've reconsidered because one of the reasons I make these videos is in the hope that it may inspire someone to take their first trip or to take their first solo trip. But I don't want to pretend that everything is always awesome all the time, because it's not. Some days you're grumpy, some days you're tired, some days you're sick, and some days you are grumpy, tired, and sick. And for me, this was one of those days. I made a really, really bad decision, and it all could have been avoided if I just followed my own advice, my own strategy. Let me show you the really bad decision. Oh wait, that's not the bad decision I made. That's part of the bad decision I made, as is that, this, that. Go to Sideman, they said. It's the real Bali, they said. Things aren't quite working out for me here. I think my idea of real Bali and other people's idea of real Bali is a little bit different. But what even is the real Bali? I'm going to head to my happy place today, and I'm really lucky that it's not too far away. I'm going to be heading into Kota Klungkung, which you'd find on Google Maps as Semarapura. I've been there many times. And as I've mentioned in a couple of other videos, tummy not doing good, and it's become a real ongoing issue, and I really need to be kind to myself with what I put in it. So we're going to be heading to Semarapura, where I'm going to have the healthiest meal I can find, and I will be able to find a Western idea of a healthy meal there. I'll tell you why, because that's part of my usual strategy and advice, and also I'll be picking up a little guilty pleasure for breakfast tomorrow morning. So come along, and along the way I will probably moan and rant and pretend to present that as an intelligent discussion on all things real Bali, and my usual strategy and advice for choosing a location to stay at. We're all prone to knee-jerk reactions. I'm not immune. I love diving into a pool in the morning. That's a ritual. That's my wake up, even pre-coffee. At the last accommodation, you had to book your swim. It was a residential apartment, and swimming for those people was more about exercise than refreshment. And I think I chose this accommodation as a reaction to that. Not only did I want accommodation with a pool, I wanted accommodation with a private pool. I wanted to swim whenever I wanted. I wanted to swim naked if I wanted. Who doesn't want to swim naked, right? So in the accommodation website I went to, the only filter I ticked was private pool, and I got it. But it came with baggage. This is the private pool, and this is the accommodation. Cool, right? Well, yeah, if you're an Instagram kind of person, you could certainly get your butt cheeks out with pool in the foreground and rice paddies in the background, if that's your thing. But if your thing is independent travel and local immersion, not so much. The photos of the property online strongly suggested that it was a little traditional Balinese joglo in the middle of the rice fields all by itself. That's not necessarily the case. There's also these cartoon versions of Balinese accommodation. I don't even know what that is. And there's about 8 of them. So first and foremost, it's akin to a resort. Then there was the welcome drink. Well, actually, let's start with the red flags. After I booked the accommodation, I got communication from the accommodation, and it said, head to, and I won't insert the name, but the name had the word resort in it, for check-in. And I thought, what? Anyway, it was an arduous 2-hour bike ride from the airport. It's probably usually only 90 minutes, but it was absolutely calamitous rainy conditions. I arrived at said insert resort name here, and they said, oh, welcome, come in for your welcome drink. And I said, I'm dripping, I'm in my wet weather gear. I don't really want to take this off to have a welcome drink just to put it back on before I get to the accommodation. By the way, where is the accommodation and can we just go there? Instantly, this caused discomfort, not for me. It was actually discomfort for the staff members who have protocols that they obviously need to follow, boxes that they need to tick in relation to guest check-in. They were really insistent about this welcome drink. I was equally insistent, as politely and respectfully as I possibly could, that I really just wanted to get to my accommodation. Eventually they agreed, but insisted on taking my bags. I'm not comfortable with that. I don't like a notion that there's a me and them. I'm equal with everybody. Someone carrying my bags for me is my slave. That's not cool. That turned into a negotiation as well. And that turned uncomfortable as well. This poor person who was checking me in just didn't know what to do because I just wasn't following the program. Evidently, most guests that arrive do. The accommodation wasn't too far away. We got there and she said, come in, I'll show you around. And it's a joglo. There's a sleeping space and there's a bathroom. I said, oh, look, I've got my wet, muddy boots on. She said, no, that's okay. Well, for me, it wasn't. I didn't want to traipse water and mud into the joglo. And then there was this new negotiation. She really, really wanted to give me the tour because evidently that's what she has to do. And I politely and respectfully refused, but that just added to the confusion and discomfort for the poor girl. Eventually, she gave me the speech she has learnt by heart outside the joglo and essentially just told me, here's the living space with a bedroom, here's the bathroom, here's the outdoor kitchen area. I was finally left to myself, but I was also left with this weird feeling because the whole interaction for the preceding 10 minutes had been uncomfortable. Part of it due to me not wanting this over-the-top, super hands-on luxury experience. The weird disconnect in my brain between what I thought I was getting myself into and the situation I'd found myself in. And really, I just wanted to disrobe and dive into the pool. But my 3-meter high private entrance also comes with a waist height wall where everybody's staying here and the overabundance of staff are walking backwards and forwards 24/7. So much for the private pool. Are you done with my moaning yet? I am. Let's get on the bike. Oh wait, let me keep moaning on the way to the bike. Before the staff member left, she insisted on getting my WhatsApp number so that she could send me information about the authentic Balinese restaurant. And when I saw the information, it also had authentic Western prices. Now, I'm not new on this planet, human. I knew what to do. Get out into the village, into the real Bali. That's where I'd get my food. That's where I'd meet my people. That's where I'd get my information about the area. All my problems would be solved. Or would they? This is a weird place, man. Apart from the resort that shall not be named, there is not a single place in this village selling food. I asked around. They kept referring me back to the resort. I said, no, makanan lokal. I just want local food. They kept referring me back to the resort. No big deal. I'll just head to the next village over. But on the way there, I went past tourist chalet after tourist bungalow after tourist joglo. I really was in the thick of an infestation that only added to my frustration. Okay, I've just stopped by a little stream to cleanse the mind, adjust the attitude, and stop moaning. I mentioned that I was going to head to my happy place, and I want to tell you how I found the happy place in the first place. So, I'm a bit of a data geek, and a while ago, I sourced some data about the population distribution of Bali. And I got that data as a heat map. That's where information is presented in a way where the darker a color, that indicates higher population of locals. And I also got the data for where tourists are in Bali and where tourism infrastructure is in Bali. And by laying one lot of data over the top of the other, I could see where there was a higher local population, but fewer to no tourists. And they became my Goldilocks zones that I wanted to go spend some time in. What's the high population of locals part about? Where there's a high local population, those people need stuff. They need infrastructure, they need services, they need healthcare, they need some of the niceties of life. And in those higher population local areas, you will also tend to have hospitals, government offices, and higher education facilities. And the people who attend those types of institutions tend to have what by Bali standards would be a middle income. And those people have aspirations for some of the Western things in life. And so by identifying these Goldilocks zones, I could find places that were still super local. I wouldn't be running into other foreigners. And if I did want some Western niceties, and there's been times when I've wanted to be able to access a gym when I'm in a place. If I did want a fancy coffee, I love my kopi Bali, but every now and then, maybe you get a hankering. Every now and then, maybe you get a hankering for some Western food. Cheese, man. That's what I miss, cheese. And so these kind of places in the Goldilocks zone, they have those things, but they're not at Western prices because they're not directed to Westerners. They're for locals. So I'm on my way, as mentioned, to Semarapura. I'm going to a place I've never actually been to. I've identified a whole lot of places in Semarapura that if I ever get the hankering, that these places can probably satiate the hankering. But because also my tummy's not quite right at the moment, I'm going to a place called Diane's Garden, and on their menu are a whole lot of salads. So that's where we're headed. I think my attitude has been adjusted. From here on in, it's puppies, rainbows, and unicorns. Well, no puppies, rainbows, or unicorns on the menu, but there was a grilled chicken salad. It was one of those menus with photos, and the dish doesn't exactly look like the photo in that there sure is a lot of condiment on the top of here, and it's not quite the healthy option I was after, but there are more salad ingredients in this dish than I would have got anywhere else relatively local. Drinks wise, I'm having what's called a carrot cleanser, and Lord knows my tummy needs a cleanse. It's pretty good. But wait, there's more. That carrot cleanser was pretty good, so I've ordered another juice combo. This one is called Popeye Strong. Bit of an obscure reference for Indonesia, but the ingredients are green apple, mint, pineapple, and of course, spinach. I am what I am. I'm glad I came here for a number of reasons. One, air conditioning, man. I've not been in air conditioning outside of a convenience store in a long, long time. Number two, I got to come through parts of Semarapura that I haven't been through before. And I've visited here a number of times. It's a pretty big place, but yeah, came through some really peaceful aspects of it I hadn't seen before. And number three, my body is just singing as a result of those juices. I'm really glad I did that. So that's Diane's garden. Western food for a Balinese clientele. That grilled chicken salad was 52,000, about $5 Aussie. Is that double or even triple the price of food you could get at a local warung or roadside stall? Absolutely. But while I was eating it, I Googled equivalent dishes on menus in Canggu and Ubud, and it's about half, and in some cases a third of the price of what you'd pay there. Am I recommending you come to Diane's garden? Sure, if you want to. But for me today, in my current health circumstances, it delivered absolutely everything I needed. Am I recommending that you visit Semarapura? Absolutely not. You would hate the place. Okay, I secretly want to keep it for myself. There hasn't been any serious Bali retirement plans discussions in our house, but if there were, for me, Semarapura would be in the top 3 possible locations. Now, if you're not a data geek, but you're interested in this idea of the Goldilocks zones, I've got a shorthand for you, and we're heading there now. Cryptic? Yes, but all will be revealed. The shorthand is a franchise called Holland Bakery. Just look for the distinctive Dutch windmills. Why are they a shorthand? Because they only set up shop in the kind of places that my geeky Goldilocks data identified. Again, it's Western food with a local clientele. And why am I here? To satisfy a hankering. Specifically, a hankering for these guys. They're a guilty pleasure that I don't even feel one little bit bad about. So if you pull up Holland Bakeries on a map, you're going to find places that have the local feel, the local vibe, but if you want some of those Western niceties, you will find them here at local prices. There's something I've always wanted to do here. You can walk out onto that second ledge there. And today might be the day. Today may not be that day. On my way in, I passed an ambulance on its way out. And it did strike me as odd that there wasn't anyone in the water. And then I saw a whole bunch of people and I thought, okay, there's an event. But I think something more serious has happened. That puts things into perspective. I just got some more information. Here I am moaning about my Instagram accommodation, and 2 kids have lost their lives here today. Good to get a grip. Might go back and view my accommodation in a whole different light. I'm blessed, man. We all are. We're blessed. Blessed. And now it's started to rain. I just about made it back to the accommodation. Look, This is a video for YouTube. I'm aware it's a construction. I could have left those last bits out, but this is real life, man. This stuff happens. And it certainly has given me pause for thought about my complaints of the day. If you've watched any of my other videos, you'll know that each video ends with a moral of the tale or a traveler's lesson. Would seem a bit crass to try and jam that in today. I think we all know what the lesson is for today. So I might just wrap it up there. I do also usually leave you with a little bit of scenery to give you some time to ponder, so we'll still do that.